Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this session on Teaching and Learning Strategy of the Year. I'm John Morgan. I'm the Deputy News Editor at THE, and we're going to be hearing from the universities who were shortlisted in this category and hearing about their achievements in the field of teaching and learning, which is obviously one of the absolutely core missions of universities, but one which around the world often doesn't get the support and recognition that it deserves from national funding in evaluation systems. So it'll be very interesting to hear from the panelists about how and why they've made teaching and learning a priority. I'll introduce the panelists, we'll hear about their achievements, and then it'd be really good to have questions from the audience and we can open it up to a general discussion. So in terms of the panel, starting on my immediate left, we have Abdel Karim Daragmeh, Director of the Centre for Excellence in Teaching and Learning at An-Najah National University. Then we have Ling Lam, Associate Professor, City University of Hong Kong. And then we have Ingdang Ariati Arifin of Management and Science University, Reynaldo, President and CEO of Mapúa University, Shin-Jen Chang, President, National Taipei University of Education, Gael McDonald, President and General Director of Rmit University, Vietnam, and Sinichi Kimura, Professor, Tokyo University of Science, and finally Seongmoon Kim, Associate Dean of Academic Affairs at Yonsei University. And if we can hear from each panelist about the achievements that saw them nominated, and it'd be great if we could keep to roughly 3 minutes, so we've got plenty of time for questions. Abdel, start us off.
Thank you, John, for the introduction, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm speaking on behalf of An-Najah National University in Palestine, and on behalf of a large team, actually, who intervened at the level of modernization of assessment practices in foundational first-year education. Therefore, our target courses were the foundational courses, including biology, physics, calculus, introduction, language, instruction. And we were 5 institutions from Palestine, including Gaza and the West Bank, and the National Accreditation Commission, also representing the Ministry of Higher Education. So it's a large-scale intervention at the level of, at country level and institutional level. We also had 3 EU representatives, so we're connected to Ireland, we're connected to Spain, and we're connected to Slovakia, working together on this global project for transforming assessment practices in foundational first-year education in Palestine. The nature and scope of intervention is we wanted to move away actually from traditional assessment, from route-based learning, and we wanted to introduce at policy level and at classroom level and at course practices and teacher practices also. We wanted to move more towards formative assessment practices and multi and diversified assessment tools for these foundational courses. This therefore bridging basically university to high school education and not waiting for long until we focus on a higher level skills like problem solving and critical thinking and thinking about innovative solutions for problems, or building all these skills early on, and therefore developing also assessment tools to measure those things. Our intervention was also innovative because we used technology to support. I mean, assessing a large whole, we all think about teachers' workload and assessing 100 and 120 students, which was as practiced as is before the intervention, which was exam-based and route-based memorization. And so we tried to intervene in order to provide feedback loops for teachers and for students at the same time, so the teachers would get some idea about their instruction and their achievements, and also the learners would get feedback also about the performances early on in the process, actually starting from chapter 1 until the end of the course, where they can use their mobile technology to get live feedback inside the classroom. They would access the Moodle platform or the Socrative technology, and we also used Padlet for teamwork. So that was at the level of technology, and this was at the level of assessment and the integration of technology and assessment in the teaching and learning. With regard to the results we achieved quite impressive results. We had 10 revised first year modules, foundational courses, benefiting in 1 year, 2 semesters, fall and spring, 2,890 students benefiting from these 10 courses. As I was saying, including biology, calculus, physics, English, and also computer science. We trained academics. Of course, if you do this in this kind of intervention, you need to train academics on using technology and on providing formative feedback and on transforming from summative to the formative, and from in-class also to outside classroom follow-up for the techniques. So we trained 280 academic staff on this. We also produced an institutional teaching and learning strategy for the 5 national institutions. And as an example on achievement for one course in one semester, we got 38 movements on one course, out of which 44,520 were student movements and 1,518 were teacher movements on one course in one semester. The team who worked on this initiative actually performed impressively well, and they won the first, the course was accredited from Cork University, the courses in Ireland, and the course developers received the 2018 Outstanding Teacher Award in recognition of their development and performance. And then the courses were also reviewed as blended learning with quality standards that are accredited by our institutions in Palestine. I hope this gives a brief idea about the scope of work, the results, and targeting assessment for first-year education in order to provide more for formative feedback loops to the learners at this early on in their education process.
Thank you, Abdel, for explaining to us what sounds like a really significant, large-scale national approach on this issue. If you can move on to you, Ling.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ling Lam. I'm representing City University of Hong Kong. The story that we are going to...
Technology.
Hello? No? Hello? Maybe I should hold.
I think there's a microphone
Thank you.
coming.
Sorry. Hello, my name is Ling Lam, representing City University of Hong Kong. The story that we are going to share today is not only about teaching and learning and what students learned, but also we as teachers and educators learned from our teaching experience, learned from our students. It's a reflective journey from our teaching experience. We as educators and teachers do face challenges. And we want to enhance our teaching in many different areas. So there are 3 particular elements that we want to enhance, and through a program that we did something very well and we want to share today. The first is we want to enhance motivation to for our students, how to effectively engage them into the knowledge, how to make them build a connection to the knowledge. And we also want to bridge the learning gaps, especially in the context of interdisciplinary education. And also third, we want to help our students to bring a bigger impact from out of their establishment to a wider community like our society, and prepare them in the professionalism dimension, even have them to serve the society to become the future leader. Our approach to achieve these ambitious goals is to empower our students to tackle real-world challenge. And there are two elements in here. One is community engagement. The second is social technological innovations. Our strategy is to situate scientific or technological knowledge in the context of cultural or social and artistic elements and narrative, so that they can engage and make a meaning, feel this context being meaningful to their life. And our goal is to give humanities a role in STEM education. This is exactly what is missing from STEM education these days. We've been running a university-wide community education program called TEDY, T-E-D-Y, Technologies for the Elderly and Disabled People by Youths. This program has objectives in cultivating students' original idea and building them a stronger sense of social responsibility and empathetic understanding of the elderly and person living with different kinds of disabilities, and to have them custom designed assistive technologies for the target beneficiary to solve their challenges, improve their physical and mental well-being, and to incubate students' original idea and innovative design in exploring technologies. We've been working in collaboration with 2 public hospitals in Hong Kong and more than 50 different non-governmental, non-profit organizations and other community service partners in launching this TEDY program. And through fact-finding, because we do not want to impose challenges and ask students to solve this challenge, solve that challenge, but we facilitate fact-finding meeting for students and the target beneficiaries or the carers or the professional in different community service partner. Through these fact-finding meetings, students can discover what is the real-world challenge, and they can formulate innovative solutions for them. And the TEDY program has been implemented through a variety of different teaching and learning activities, including we call it a makeathon, like a 72-hour challenge. It's a competition, but students have to identify a challenge for serving the disability community or the elderly, and they have to put together a prototype. And we also developed facilitate a number of workshops to develop their capacities. I'm very happy to share more about how we implement and what we have accomplished later on when we have more time, but I don't want to steal too much airtime. Yeah, so.
Thank you very much. Very interesting to hear about the real emphasis on community engagement and social impact there. If we can hear from Indang next.
Thank you, John. The panelists, good afternoon. I'm Indang from Management and Science University, Malaysia. We have about 25,000 students from 41 countries, and we do offer a range of program at our university, from the business and management, engineering and technology, medical and health sciences, education and social science, as well as hospitality, tourism, and creative art. We are currently the largest private university in Malaysia with 25,000 students, and being a young university, but I think with the quality as our main focus in MSU, so we have been recognized by many associations and recognition, for example, ACEU and ASIC, as well as now we are at the top 2% in Asia. Right. Back to our tagline of the university, which is the transforming lives and enriching future. We have one of the pillar in our strategic plan, 10-year strategic plan, is reinforcing basic in teaching and learning. So there's a lot of effort or initiative that has been done by university or developed or molded by the university. And we would like to focus in these 10 years to the technology and system in our teaching and learning, as well as enriching the teaching and learning activities. Sustainable environment is one of the focus of the universities. Recently, Management and Science University have achieved top 301 in THE University Impact Ranking that has been announced recently. We also focusing into the staff development program at our university. Any new staff that come into the university, it is compulsory for them to sit for certificate teaching skills before they go into the class and teach the students. It's 8 modules together in order for them to be considered as a permanent staff at the university. They must attend this workshop and training and then pass the assessment for that. Then we will allow them to go into the class and teach the student. This is actually to ensure that the quality of teaching and learning is being delivered in classroom. We also focus into the student support system. Later I will share with all of you the teaching and learning approaches that we have at our university. And then the education accessibility for all. We do provide the facilities for less fortunate people in our campus. So because we believe that accessibility to education for all is the most important in education nowadays. And then we pledge to deliver the quality programs, all 150 plus. Our program has been recognized by Malaysian qualification agencies as well as the professional bodies for critical and professional programs. Our focus in teaching and delivery, especially in delivering the subject, is we adopt the vibrant academic delivery in the classroom, and we provide the education opportunities, like I said, and we would also focus into the going global. Go into the detail of the teaching and learning activities at MSU. We have divided the delivery into 2 parts. One is the cognitive parts, and the other one is the social development or the soft skill development in students. For the cognitive part, for the knowledge, we are using the 21st century learning approaches. For example, through cooperative learning in class. We have convert the large lecture to the team-based learning. So it is more on the team-based learning approach rather than large lecture approach in our classroom. The experiential learning is very, very important for the students. It's compulsory for all students, and all subjects have to have experiential learning for the students. So we would like the student to able to work in a team, okay, and then they able to solve the problem, which we use the problem-based learning approaches in the classroom. Besides that, compulsory for all subjects to have project-based learning. So it's actually to encourage the experiential learning in our students. The tools that we use, because we are our approach, if we go back to the strategic plan of the university in teaching and learning, is that we would like to use 21st century learning. And as we know that 21st century learning is, the approach must be a student approach first and then the technology approach. So to cater for that, in the teaching and in the technology approach, we have a campus management system that we call it as e-class, where the student can obtain all the information regarding the classes, the timetable, even their result from the class. And they can get the feedback from the lecturers also through that class management system. We have converted half of our classroom to smart classroom, where the student, because we are using the approaches of cooperative learning and experiential learning and team-based learning. So this kind of facilities is very important. So we have converted some of our classroom into the smart classroom so that the students can use together with the lecturers in their class. And then we also have a simulation labs from medical right up to education, because the simulation labs is the place where the students can practice before they really go out into the industry. And then online assessment. Rather than the flipped classroom that we use, we also use assessment, online assessment as our methodology. The learning tools that we use in class, the methodology, as I've said, we are using the flipped classroom where the student this task has been given to the student before they enter the class. And then online learning, we do also have a chat rooms in class, campus management system where the student can have a chat with their lecturers if they have any issues, beside the face-to-face session with the lecturers. As well as gamification has been used a lot in our teaching and learning deliveries. That component, beside that, like I said, the face-to-face is important. We also expose the student into the industrial exposure, which is compulsory for all students at our university to do internship in the industry. And some of the program, they have started their industrial exposure since semester 3. First year, we have given them a fundamental, and from year 2 and onwards, we encourage them, and it is in their curriculum actually, to have industrial exposure session with the industry. We also call the CEO from many big industry in Malaysia to come to the campus and talk to the students. Currently, we have one session, online session with one of the CEO in campus. I can see it from here, actually. So it's actually to give the student the industrial exposure to prepare them when they go into the real life later. That was the cognitive component. Another initiative, like I said, we have also focused into the development of the student soft skill. There are two major programs that we developed at our university. One is PEC and the other one is GEMS. We call it as GEMS, Graduate Employability Skills. The PEC component is we have covered 8 skills altogether, from the thinking skills to the communication skills, teamwork, management skills, leadership, as well as wellness skills in our students, because we feel that being healthy is very important as a student as well as the graduates later. So PEC is compulsory for the student. We have arranged this module, one per semester, and we start with the thinking skill first, so that we expose the student the way to think, so that when they go into the deeper knowledge later in year 2 and final year, then they can adapt with the environmental situation. So the approach for this PEC is not a lecture based.
Sorry to interrupt. We might have to,
right.
to wrap up.
Not a lecture based. Is more on the experience based for the student. Last but not least is the GEMS, Graduate Employability Skills, where there are 6 components in GEMS. First is internationalization. We encourage students to go abroad. Second is on the entrepreneurship skills in students. Third is on the community engagement, is one of the focus in our university. Then mentoring, and last one is on the competition. Based on these approaches, the outcome from this is that we are one of the highest graduate employability percentage that has graduated from our university, which is 98.6%, which is one of the highest in the country. And we also have obtained the best entrepreneur university in Malaysia from the private university that has been given by the Ministry of Higher Education in Malaysia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Interesting to hear about the emphasis on staff training and teaching, which is obviously absolutely key, but too often neglected. Reynaldo, could we hear from you next?
Yeah, okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll talk about two initiatives of our school. The first one is called Digital Day, and the second one is called Digital Rush. Okay, but before I do that, let me introduce our school. Mabuhay University is a 94-year-old institution located in the oldest part of Manila, in Intramuros, which is a Spanish term for within the walls. We have about 12,000 students in Manila. We have a branch in Laguna, 40 kilometers south with 6,000, and another 1,000 in Davao, which is 1,000 kilometers south of Manila. Until 2 years ago, we were Mapúa Institute of Technology, but we have since attained university status. Almost all our engineering programs are accredited by ABET under the terms of Washington Accord, and including our computing programs since 2009. We have the most numbers of centers of excellence in engineering according to our Commission on Higher Education. So since the turn of the century, our worldview has been that the world is shrinking even as knowledge is expanding. Based on this premise, our plans have revolved around, well, this is for 2015 to 2025, have revolved around our desire to become a digital, research-driven, outcomes-based, international domain, DROID. So we want to become a droid. So I'll discuss about being a digital school. We think that, well, digital technology should be in the service of outcomes-based education. They should lead to better outcomes. And as well as digital tools should promote the democratization of research. And by that means, we should be able to engage with international partners in research activities. And internationalization, of course, is helped along by digital technologies. So on digital technologies, we started with open source systems like Moodle, Canvas, Edmodo. But at a certain point, we thought that we wanted more functionalities. So we subscribed to Blackboard. You know, they'd like this endorsement, but so we subscribed to Blackboard, and we got both the asynchronous and the synchronous modules. I'm going to emphasize on the synchronous modules where we're able to do collaborative work. Students can be grouped together and do collaborative work. And since the classroom is also collaborative work, it could be used to conduct virtual classrooms. And now I'll focus on virtual classroom. Well, but first of all, in our syllabi, we make sure to include both asynchronous and synchronous modes as within our outcomes-based syllabi. Our director for the Center of Teaching and Learning, Ms. Thomas, who is here with us this afternoon, and our Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Bonifacio Doma, have succeeded in training 100% of our faculty. So they're all conversant with this learning management system. And right now, 49% of our courses are on blended mode, 2% on fully online mode, and 49% still on face-to-face. That is the courses. But 100% of the faculty can do digital education. Now we have to now apply this tool within the realities of the Philippine situation. And what is our reality? Our reality is traffic, flooding when it rains. So how can we use digital education to help under these circumstances? And the reality also is when we miss a class, miss a day of class, our commission requires us to do makeup. And in our case, we can do makeup classes only on Sundays. So, for example, the ASEAN held a summit last year in Manila. Traffic, we expected traffic to get bottled up. And in January, there usually is a religious procession involving more than 1 million people in the streets of Manila. So it's almost impossible for all our students to come to class. And reality is, when it rains, it floods in the streets of Manila. So we said, why don't we take our classes in cyberspace on these days? And so we say, we'll hold all classes on the same time slots, except it will be virtual classroom. So we tried that. The first time we tried it, I think our provider was not prepared for the scale that it was going to happen, and the server crashed. And we learned that the cloud is in Sydney. So we said, okay, we talked with them. The next time we do this, please expect that around 3,000 students will be involved, 100 simultaneous classes. 100 simultaneous classes. And it was successful the second time around. And we had initial complaints of internet service, but that has since vanished. So we were able to do digital day. And nobody should come to campus. Our people in school drove students who tried to come to class on those days. So we've had 6 runs of digital day now, 6 digital days. And the other initiative is Digital Rush. Rush hour, during rush hour, we make sure that the students a student has the option to pick an online course. So there are face-to-face courses, sections, and at least one section which is online. This means that they need not battle the traffic of Manila, or even when they're on a jeepney, they can take out their gadget and participate in class. And it's so interactive, this collaborative software. So we've had subscriptions to these online Digital Rush courses. Also in the evening, going home, they have the option to enroll in an online course. So yeah, we're quite happy with it, that we get Digital Day and Digital Rush, and maybe some other projects to come based on the realities of the Philippine situation. And we hope actually that the other schools in the Philippines would adopt Digital Rush, because it's traffic mostly because there's millions of students in Manila out in the streets during rush hour. So if everyone did adopt it, and we wouldn't mind, then maybe, the people going to work would not be as hassled as they are today. So that is our presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very interesting to hear about the specific value of digital learning in a Philippines context. Shin-Jen, could we hear from you next?
Thank you, John. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm the president of National Taipei University of Education. Founded in 1895, my university is the first educational institution in Taiwan. It has been more than 123 years. We are the top one in teacher education for elementary schools, kindergarten, and special education. Therefore, innovation of teaching and learning has always been our main focus and core value. The main features are developing the iMagic e-learning platform. It's the first one in the world to combine flip instruction, learner-centered teaching strategies, and various technology tools to support our innovative teaching. Establish more than 30 highly interactive classrooms to support learner-centered instruction, encouraging professors to open their classroom for their colleagues to observe and conduct professional dialogue. And we also implement Taiwan First accreditation program on learner-centered instruction and practice in higher education. Publishing the Journal of Teaching Practice and Pedagogical Innovation to facilitate faculty promotion to use their research in innovative teaching. Hosting 2019 International Conference with the International Association for the Study of Cooperation in Education to share our cooperative learning experiences. Annually awarding teaching excellence faculty members, and we also provide research grants for our faculty who are interested in the scholarship of teaching and learning. On the aspect of our students' learning experiences, they are enhanced in many ways, including establishing MR classrooms and maker centers to support STEM program, which can facilitate students' logical thinking and hands-on abilities. Coding, programming, and second foreign language courses are required to prepare students for the future world. In order to prepare students for the future challenge, lowering 30 credit hours for students to take cross-field credit programs and micro programs to train pie-shaped talents. Developing Taiwan's first university students' learning strategy questionnaire to track students' strengths, weaknesses, and progress through semester. Sponsoring the faculty member of each department to take the professional training program on global career development facilitator, so that the teacher can provide their students about their career development counseling. And finally, we provide student stipend for study abroad and overseas practicum. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Real emphasis on the needs of students in the modern world there. Gael, could we hear from you next?
Thanks very much. I'm Gael McDonald. I'm president of RMIT Vietnam. By way of background, RMIT Vietnam is wholly owned private university by RMIT University in Melbourne. And RMIT University in Melbourne is one of the largest universities in Australia. So if I was sitting here and looking back in time, I thought, if you told me that we would no longer have examinations or any textbooks, even I would be surprised. So how did we get to this particular point in our strategy where we decided to make such a radical change in how we teach and what our teaching and learning strategy is really trying to achieve? I think we have to sort of look at the context of where we are. Obviously, we look at what's happening in the area of pedagogy and what are the new trends. We also have a very strong commitment towards employability. We're very conscious about students and how they're changing. They're no longer wanting the sage on the stage. They're wanting to have a lot more interactivity, gamification, etc. But one of our main drivers was actually the context that we're in. As far as Vietnam is concerned, it's gone through significant growth. There's a lot of foreign direct investment. There's exponential number of multinational firms now operating in Vietnam, and they can't get staff. They're finding that the graduates that they're receiving are just not up to scratch for what they're wanting. So what we've been looking at is how can we actually enhance the employability? How can we meet the needs of industry? And to do that, we really stepped back and engaged with industry. And when I say engaged with industry, I don't mean just putting in an industry advisory board and deciding whether or not, you know, they can come once a month or once every 3 months and give us a little bit of advice. I mean deeply engaging with industry about what their needs happen to be. Now, from that particular point, we then looked at how are we actually assessing students, and is there any value in the sitting down, writing for 3 hours, and then coming out of the classroom, particularly in an environment where rote learning, memorization is highly prized. So we looked at ways that we might be able to introduce what we call authentic assessment, and that is where the assessment actually mirrors the experiences that students would have in the industry environment. And to do that, we obviously had to engage with industry to give us the problems, to give us the issues, to co-design so that we were hitting the learning outcomes and that we were assessing and there was the right volume of learning. So when we started to do this, we started to realize that maybe we didn't have to do examinations anymore. We didn't actually have to put students into a formal context. And we could perhaps expand a little bit further. So we then went on to look at our textbooks. Are they really contemporary? And as a writer of textbooks, this was quite a sort of difficult time to think through whether or not we actually needed textbooks. Could we look at live feed coming through from the library? Could we look at media-rich material? Could we look at simulations and games? Could we look at virtual reality? Could we look at a number of alternative approaches to ensure that the learning and the content that students were receiving is very, very dynamic? So that's when we decided to go away from textbooks, to take away the crutch of week 1, chapter 1. And in doing so, we actually then developed an opportunity for greater reflection on what we should be teaching and how we should be teaching it. The engagement with industry opened up lots of opportunities for us, and obviously internships. And industry also came back and said the soft skill area needs work. So we developed what we call personal edge, and this is where we have 6 particular skill areas that we scaffold a number of skill sets underneath. And we have an app that drives that. The app was actually so successful that the developer has asked us to commercialize it with them. So there is an opportunity of students to be able to actually credentialize, to evidence their learning. And that is about getting them into the workplace and better equipped for what they have to achieve in the first stage of their career. Obviously, things will change as time goes on. What's our success been? Well, it's hard to judge. It's fairly early on in the process. But our employability rates sit up at about the 75%. The rest of the students are in either their own sort of companies, so we divided into companies and we divided into ongoing learning, so higher education. But usually it's about 70 to 75% of students are in employment within 3 months of graduation. Our satisfaction rates have gone up as well with students, and obviously we have greater engagement with industry as well.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it'd be very bold and distinctive to go exam and textbook free in any context, but especially so when you're going against the grain of a national educational culture. Sinichi.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shin-Jen Kimura from Tokyo University of Science. And it's a very great honor to talk here on behalf of the Vice President of Chiaki Mukai. I'd like to talk on our specific program called the Space Education Program. Surrounded by the presence and expert on education, I feel very, great pressure, but unfortunately, we are not specialists for the educations. As for myself, I'm a space engineer and making a satellite or the spacecrafts. And my friend of mine, Vice President Chiaki Mukai, was an astronaut, and she's researching on the space medicine now. Therefore, we started a discussion what kind of feature or characteristics we expected for our colleagues or our boss or the leaders. Of course, unique or innovative ideas. We appreciate this kind of innovative ideas. In addition, we believe that the power and skills to realize or to promote that kind of idea is very important to realize that. Therefore, we think that maybe we need a certain, so say, practical educational program for that kind of skills. On the other hand, space is can be a motivation for students. In Tokyo University of Science, we have many researchers on the space science and technology. So we decided that these are our resources. We are going to utilize our resources such as our experiences, data, and equipment, and human networks for education. We started funded by the Japanese Ministry of the Education, started the space educational program, focused on the how to realize the idea and promote that. I'd like to explain the one example, the public private experiment. That is a part of the our space educational program. If when the airplane fly like a public trajectory, certain trajectory, we can achieve the microgravity condition inside of the plane, very short term. Therefore, we regularly utilize these technologies for simulate the microgravity science or the, to qualify the space equipment. Therefore, we charter this flight and asked the participant of our program, what would you do if you have a 20-second microgravity? Please propose your own experiment. We divided the participants into the 5 or 6 members group, and each group requested 2 very, so to say, unique experiment utilizing that kind of public rights. Not only the proposers, they are requested to prepare the experiment equipment by themselves, conduct the experiment itself, and analyze the result and present that. Of course, the public rights, as for experimental equipment, is need to meet the various constraints. Size is limited.
Sorry to interrupt. We might have to wrap things up to leave some room for questions.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. Therefore, they're running all of this process. We think that that is a very typical example, or to say, simulation of the space missions. We all using this kind of program. We really enjoy that, and we hope to expand this program. And unfortunately, I can't show you the movie of the public prize experiment. If you want, I'm going. Please catch me. I'm going to show you. I'm sorry to.
Thank you very much. Really fascinating field that project is focused on. Seongmoon, can we have you next?
Hello everyone, my name is Seongmoon Kim. I'm an Associate Dean of Academic Affairs at Yonsei University. Yonsei University is the first and the oldest university in South Korea, having the history of over 130 years. And today I'd like to share the success story of digital-oriented education at Yonsei University. What I want to emphasize today is not the basic level of digital education, because we already have a cyber online education system 20 years ago. What I want to emphasize today is the next level, second stage, digital revolution in the educational system. Let me ask you some quick question. You watch video clips at YouTube, And sometimes you receive video clips from your friend and upload the video clips at your Facebook. But my question is, can you make those video clips and multimedia professionally? Probably not. Then you are a consumer of multimedia, not a producer of multimedia. But these days, young generation would be a producer of multimedia, not just want to remain as a consumer of multimedia. That's the reason we need to change the curriculum to satisfy the young generation, to make them be a producer of multimedia. So in order to have that kind of infrastructure at the Yonsei University, 1.5 years ago, we signed a multilateral MOU with several key companies, including world-famous Adobe, famous for Adobe Photoshop and Acrobat, and Samsung Electronics, famous for Galaxy smartphone, and Korea Telecom for collaboration in digital renovation in the educational system. We also opened a special purpose center, which is called Digital Experience Center, to oversee the digital renovation in the educational system throughout the campus. Last year, the entire 4,000 students were given free membership account from Adobe, especially Adobe Creative Cloud account, to experience the digital technology in their education system. And then at the liberal art curriculum, we opened several courses such as digital content writing, digital storytelling, digital media marketing, and even this one has been expanded to virtual reality these days. Students have been very happy, and we even created a new major about media and culture in the new college. At the graduate level, we also launched a new program which is called Design Intelligence, which means this one is the interdisciplinary program integrating many parts of the academics in the university, such as digital-based design and art, and artificial intelligence, and business analytics, and business and marketing, and data science. And this program has been very popular quickly, and the number of applications is growing exponentially. So far, I have explained the success story of the student side, but now I would like to shift to the faculty side. You know that the most difficult part is the changing the faculty behavior. As you know, professors do not want to change their behavior. They don't want to accept something new. So we provided many programs for the faculty members to efficiently integrate digital technology into their classes. We don't want to professors use just the PowerPoint slide with the text. We want to use multimedia integrated into their class material, and they want to teach more effectively to the student. So, for example, we provide the regular lunch seminar series to provide hands-on experience to the faculty members. We also have a regular forum to invite outside the professionals to the campus. And the professionals meet the student, and then we can see the latest trend in the digital education. Students also participate competition and contest with the digital contents. This year, the first prize winner will be receiving about $5,000. In addition to that, they will go to the New York City with a round trip ticket to attend the World Championship for Digital Media hosted by Adobe. And then we even recruited the student ambassador, about 30 students per semester, to spread digital renovation throughout the campus. Like this way, we have made every effort to change the curriculum with the second stage digital revolution. So far, thousands of students successfully completed courses related with digital and multimedia, and hundreds of students got the official certificate by Adobe after being an expert in the multimedia. And graduate program, which is newly developed with design intelligence, has been growing very fast. So Yonsei University will continue to develop this digital ecosystem throughout the campus and beyond the campus. And I hope each and every student at Yonsei University will graduate after being an expert with the digital media. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. Really interesting to hear about that conjunction between the liberal arts curriculum and digital literacy. Got a very short bit of time for questions. If anyone would like to, from the audience, would like to contribute, if you can keep the question very short, it'll have to be very quick fire. Thank you. Gentleman at the front here. Oh, yeah, please go ahead and we'll take yours next.
All right. Does it work? So this morning there was a great conversation about diversity and inclusion, specifically about female representation on senior management. I'd like to ask a similar question about for students. What does your institution do to ensure that students who have learning differences benefit from your learning teaching strategy?
Thank you, and we'll take the gentleman at the front's question as well. Thanks.
Hello, I'm representing National Research University from Russia, from eastern part near Baikal Lake. It's eastern Siberia, and we were organizing the summit, Times Higher Education Summit in Kazan, and there was a speaker, Susan, I think, from Cambridge University. She said that the future education would be substituted with micro-credentials, the courses, 3 or 4 courses which are necessary for a particular industry and which can be taken from the universities and also online from Coursera, and then the micro-credentials could be issued. So the question is whether your universities are implementing this practice of micro-credentials already. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else want to lob in a quick one more, and we'll take 3 questions. Thanks.
I would like to hear what does the professor from the education department think about the approaches of eliminating textbooks and exams and moving completely toward digital education from an education point of view.
Thank you very much. You've probably got about 30 seconds max on each answer, but pick out one that you'd like to tackle.
I managed to answer 2 of those questions. The first one is in regard to disabilities. We know from research that 20% of our students actually have a learning disability, which is a visual impairment like dyslexia or Erland syndrome. So that means 1 in 5 students has that problem. So what you normally do in most universities, you take them out and you give them extra support. We actually defaulted all of our learning and teaching materials to assume that everyone in the classroom has got that learning disability. I'm not too sure whether anybody else has done that, but it was quite a significant commitment throughout the entire university to do that. And in the second question regarding credentials, I think it works both ways. I think it works with the university taking their existing material and really chopping it down to bite-sized learning that can be then credentialized with their own students or with a broader group. And it also comes the other way around, is looking at what else is out there in the marketplace, either digitally or not, in order to be able to then credentialize that and recognize it within our programs. So I think that credentializing works both ways. And we're not entirely, it's not all digital. So the focus is really about being very much engaged with what is the contemporary practice of the moment.
Thank you. Anyone else want to jump in with any very quick 30-second answers on any of those questions?
Well, we, in our high school department, a blind student applied for admission. So we could not really refuse. But we know that one school in the Philippines was able to take an exceptionally bright blind student, and she graduated summa cum laude from that school, a major school. So we said we'll take on the challenge, and we've been working with a blind student. We assigned a faculty member and a buddy, a student who volunteered to help her with her lessons. And I think we're moving well in that direction. And the other one is for micro-credentialing. Even as we speak, we're in talks with Coursera for some courses to be integrated into our curriculum. And, well, of course, we've always had the Cisco credential, Oracle, and so on, integrated into our curriculum, where student takes 200 hours of classroom contact hours. And, well, we're on the verge also of getting in contract with one provider. It was with a university in the US, expensive for us, but we were able to bring down the price. But we couldn't settle yet on who's going to receive the payment for these courses. But other than that, it was technically really possible. And we'd want to have some of those.
Actually, when it comes to students with disabilities, An-Najah University has done, there's an initiative that I wanted to tell you about, which is the students of the CAP program, Computer Science Apprenticeship Program, had developed this creative way of designing content for the blind students, which is having volunteer. They have a site, they constructed it, and they call on for volunteers. And I think they have now 2,000 volunteers from across the Arab world who record materials for the blind and make it available online for them. They won an entrepreneurial competition, and they are on their way to developing it into and launch it for the use of blind students with, I think, around 4,000 now. The number is growing of volunteers who are there recording books for the blind. Also, we provide support for them through the UNESCO Chair and the Human Rights Center, which is one place where we basically make the textbooks transformed into Braille language. And this one initiative builds on that. And we hosted those students, and we're supporting them to make it into a software and launch it soon.
Anyone else want to jump in on any of the questions?
The City University of Hong Kong has a monthly training workshop provided for faculty in supporting their teaching strategy for students with learning or other kinds of physical disability. And in terms of direct student support, we do have a mentor supporting students with disability, and specifically for the TADDY program that I introduced, we tend to group our students, we form students in group with able-bodied students and also students living with disability, so that disabled students can provide a very critical role in telling from the first-person perspective about what kind of challenge in terms of learning in the campus for the other group members.
Just very quick final point. Yeah.
All right. Just to add on the inclusivity of the less fortunate students. Recently, we have one student graduated from medical school. He is autism. From the very beginning, we know that he doesn't have an issue in terms of the academic performance, but he has an issue in terms of the social skills. So the mentor that we have assigned to them, because the mentoring is one of the strength in our university, so we give him a psychiatrist as a mentor, so that the psychiatrist can help him in terms of the soft skill or social skills issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry, we've sort of run out of time because the clock is flashing. If anyone didn't get a chance to ask a question they wanted to, or please do carry on the discussion throughout the day and throughout the conference. I'm sure the panelists will be really happy to talk. And we've heard from a really diverse range of institutions with a really diverse range of approaches, but all united by sort of innovation and very advanced thinking on teaching and learning. So please join me in thanking the panel for their valuable insights.